Accident of Choice by Literally Mad Lad on AO3. Episode 7, Chapter 3, WWE Wrestling Match with a Mermaid. The next day, Deku all but dragged the assistant down the steps, insisting that he wasn't lying, and that Katsuki had been comfortable with Deku being in the water. The assistant stood at the bottom of the stairs, arms crossed, an incredulous look on her face as Deku got on all fours and dipped his head down to scan the underside of the dock. Katsuki wasn't there. "I swear he was here yesterday," Deku said. "Or maybe you just certifiably lost it," she suggested. Deku started to take off his shoes. "Maybe if I just..." The assistant hurried over with a groan, swatting him away from the ledge. "Quit antagonizing him! You're being ridiculous right now. You know that?" Deku shrugged, mouth open to object, but was distracted by the fact that he had caught Katsuki's eye from across the cavern. Katsuki, who had been lingering in the shadows of the rocky hangover, his eyes just above water level. The assistant followed Deku's gaze across the cavern, searching, until she was startled at the sight of Katsuki. She put a hand to her forehead and cursed, the other hand on her hip. She pushed back her bangs out of her face and sighed. "Christ, you scared me!" Katsuki lingered off in the corner. No one spoke. As they stared at him, he grew wary, embarrassed. He didn't need to look at him like that. They never used to look at him like that, like he was an animal. And then, as if he could hear them, the assistant nudged Deku in the arm and said, "We should get the fish in." Deku started in motion, agreeing, and the two of them set to work carrying down the cooler of fish from up above. When they came back, Katsuki had retreated underneath the dock. It had worked one time, with his tail carefully tucked underneath. They couldn't see him. He listened as the assistant teased Deku for wearing swim trunks, at which point Deku said, "I needed to come prepared. I wrecked my phone last time, you know." "Is that why you weren't answering my calls?" "Yeah, sorry." "It's fine. Oh, be careful. I put 2 beers in there, and if they go..." "All right then." Whoops. Deku's hand reached off the deck and into the water to grab the discarded beer cans. When they were back on the surface, the assistant and Deku cracked open the cans and sat, chatting about work. Katsuki watched their shadows between the floorboards for several minutes before coasting to the side, as silently as possible. The small lamps above the cave floor were there casting on him as he emerged from the shadows, peering up at the dock. Their backs were to him. "I called that charter boat owner I told you about," the assistant said. "I think he might be interested." "We still have another 3 months before you could even release him." "I know, but who's to say we even find a boat in 3 months? At that point, we might better off just pitching in and getting our own." "Kachan wouldn't spend 3 months on a boat," Deku said quieter. Katsuki frowned. It had been a while since either of them talked about charter boats to Peru. The assistant always was the one to bring it up, and hearing Deku talk about it loosened some pain in Katsuki's chest. He didn't want to leave, but going back sounded nice. The assistant leaned back on one hand, her beer can to her lips. She took a sip as she glanced up the skylight. Deku's hair was curlier than usual. His eyes looked heavier. They were weighted down by brushed skin underneath purple, like he hadn't been sleeping well. Just as Katsuki was staring at the soft curve of Deku's nose, the assistant nudged Deku in the arm. Her eyes were on him. Katsuki sunk a bit lower, but Deku's eyes still met his. An involuntary click escaped him. "Kachan, I didn't know you were still here," Deku said. Katsuki glared at him. He turned to leave, ducking under the water, when he caught the tail end of Deku saying, "Wait, don't leave." Katsuki gritted his teeth. Deku insistently grated at his self-control like nothing else. There was truly something diabolical about the innocent way Deku reached out to him, like he expected Katsuki to swim back. Which he did. When he came within reach, Deku pulled his hand back. Katsuki caught it by the wrist, and with one swift tug, He had Deku in the water. Deku yelped and the assistant cursed as Deku hit the water face first. Within seconds, Katsuki had Deku trapped in the coil of his tail like a snake would have its prey. Midoriya! It's fine, I'm fine. Deku spluttered, shaking water from his eyes. Katsuki had one of his arms pinned to his side. With the other, Deku cleared his eyes, with another gasp after having gone over again. Katsuki squeezed it tighter. Deku's face went red as he pushed a hand against Katsuki's tail, trying to surface his head. After a moment, Deku went slack, and Katsuki crossed his arms, annoyed. He could tell Deku was just playing dead. He could feel Deku's heartbeat like a constant drum against the scales. He released his hold. Upon unfurling, Deku twisted and spun like a pop. He floated up to the surface, arms out, and took a deep, calming breath. Just below the surface, Katsuki could see the scar where scabs used to be on the palm of Deku's hand. Katsuki's fin had done that. Deku wasn't moving, which was annoying. Did Katsuki have to do all the work? Deku's shoes had fallen off and were now floating away, so Katsuki grabbed them and made away with him. They'd sort out the stuff later. When he came back, Deku had taken off his shirt and had caught the tail end of Deku treading water before the blastard went limp again, starfishing on the surface. The assistant was sitting on the edge of the dock, and Katsuki was annoyed. Why is he playing dead? I know he's alive, Katsuki thought. As the surf saturated, it ballooned under the surface before cascading down the bottom. Katsuki dove down to fetch it. It was a soft, stretchy material. Katsuki dragged it through the water, circling underneath Deku's fake dead body. He took the shirt and ran with it, darting back to where he had dropped off the shoes. When he came back, Deku had yet to move. The water had stilted, and not with the tides to pull him. Deku still remained near the center of the pool. Katsuki watched from afar as the minutes passed. The assistant shifted now, and again, biting her nails. Sometime later, Deku had unintentionally drifted near the wall. Katsuki waited with bated breath, until the exact moment Deku's wrist turned. His scar pressed flat against the wall to nudge himself back. A moment of weakness. Did that bastard really think he could stay here the entire time? Katsuki lunged forward, striking across the center of the pool to tackle Deku. Deku broke in an instant, crackling until he went under. It was the first time Katsuki had felt Deku's skin beyond his arms. He had started to think that humans had something to hide under all their colorful garments. But in spite of his theories, Deku's chest and stomach were smooth and taut, like Katsuki's. His skin was freckled and textured here and there by raised brown dots. When Katsuki pulled on one below Deku's pec, Katsuki swatted his hand away. Katsuki bared his teeth and tried again. Ow, that hurts, Deku said. Katsuki pinched the muscle to the left of Deku's belly button. Deku shouted again. You're just encouraging him, the assistant said. Did he do this before? No, we just... Kachan! Deku shrieked. Katsuki couldn't be sure what compelled him to wonder what was under Deku's trumps. Perhaps it stemmed from the fact that their torso was so familiar, and all their differences were directly south of the hem of Deku's shorts. He had never been all that envious of legs before, or feet, for that matter. They looked grotesque, like arms that weren't supposed to be there. Since they were clumsy and useless in the water, he didn't understand how they worked, or where they're connected, because they weren't like exomplex. Katsuki surfaced to glare at Deku, who had squirmed away like he had just been burned. Katsuki concluded that humans were sensitive there, which explained why they kept that area covered. Yeah, Katsuki, let's not do that. We're not doing that in this fanfic. Don't make me skip chapters. Because I'm gonna skip chapters. There's gonna be skip chapters, probably. Maybe. Definitely. Most likely. Skip chapters. Whoa, hold up. Sorry. Yeah, no, okay. Next chapter is gonna still be the same chapter. So, I'm not gonna do that. This is very interesting. Very interesting. Also, the whole Katsuki thinking that Izuku was playing dead when in reality Izuku was just floating in water, which is something that I love to do. Back when I was living in my small town, and we would go for summer school. We would not summer school like you sit down and learn, but more like a summer camp kind of thing, where like you would go and it's at a school and you would learn about like dancing or whatever elective you chose. Basically, it was just daycare, but like for older kids. But back when I would go to summer school, I guess, we would go to the pool, the high school pool, depending on which school we ended up going on. If we were in one of the elementary schools, we wouldn't have pool days. But if we went to the high school, which most of the time we did, which I loved, by the way, we would then have pool days. And it wouldn't always be with all the kids, right? Sometimes you would be in different classes and stuff like that. So it would be, if you ended up having the same round with your friends and stuff. Luckily, I did. All my friends. There was not one friend who wasn't in the same... We went in the afternoon, right? So we all had the afternoon time, right? All our classes had the afternoon time, which, I mean, was fucking lucky as fuck. Because it was me, A, D, double D, and J, right? It was the 5 of us, and we all had different classes. It wasn't like 2 of us were in the same class and then the other 3 in one. No, we were all in different classes. It was 5 different classes, and luckily, those 5, because there was 10 classes in total, or 12 classes, I don't remember, but like those 5 classes were in the afternoon shift, and we got so lucky on that end, right? We already accepted the fact that we were probably gonna have one person or like a couple people, like half and half, right? But like our whole group went. But like what I would always love to do is go to the deep end and just float. I loved floating. I also loved playing mermaids. I would love to be the merman. I was always the merman. Even back then when I wasn't 100% sure what my gender was, I always knew that I wasn't a girl, right? I always knew that. That was something that I always was like conscious of. I just didn't have words to put under it. Like, for example, I wanted to cut my hair really short. And when they did a bob instead of a really short cut, I was so upset. When I was asked why I wanted to get a pixie cut, right? I felt so ashamed. I was like, the hair gets in my way. I didn't want to say why because, I mean, deep down, I just really wanted it. Something about it was like, I really wanted it. Like, now I know I wanted it because it would make me feel more like a guy, right? More like the gender that I aligned with most. And I guess part of me felt shame of it and stuff like that, but I didn't fully realize it. Like, I had shame for something that I didn't fully realize. Anyways, but we would always we'd play mermaids. I would always be the merman with a shark tail, specifically a shark tail. I remember this specifically. And I would always kidnap the princess mermaid, which was always my friend Denise, or Double D. I don't know why I said Double D. It makes no sense. But Denise, right? She's flat as a board. On the Double D side. Anyways. She would be the princess. We would have the knight, which would be D, aka Damien. Those are the only 2 I'm gonna name drop. A would be the evil person who is, sending me to do it. So I would be a minion. And Jay never wanted to play with us. Jay was too busy staring at all the other girls who had 2 pieces. Because me and Denise, I didn't even have a bikini on or 2-piece. I would always go in swim trunks and a Lucy shirt and a swim shirt, right? I would always go like that. And when asked, I would be like, this just feels better. This feels better. And I still to this day do that. Obviously, I do it for different reasons. I don't want people to ask about my scars. It's an insecurity of mine. Not to mention, I really hate firm-fitting clothing like that. I fucking hate it sometimes. And I feel so icky. Point taken is, I wear a very loose shirt and leggings to swim. Yeah, I'm that person. Anyways, and then my friend Denise would always wear a 1-piece. A really unflattering 1-piece, right? So he would always just be staring at all the other girls. Mind you, this is like middle school, motherfucker, high on hormones kind of situation. But I always remember that. Anyways, moving on back into this topic. I always loved, just starfishing is what we would call, or we would have jelly races. This is the thing that we would do, jelly races. We would all get on our backs and we would race, but we were not allowed to swim normally. We had to swim on our backs and move our hands like starfish motion kind of thing, like making a snow angel, and we would call it starfish racing. Or not starfish, jelly racing, because it was like you were, a jellyfish. I don't know, it feels weird, but like I love those. I love those times. I want to go back. Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.